What a way to start, right? With a laugh. Welcome, welcome,
There you
welcome to the Related Views podcast with me, your host, Ken, aka Big, here with my nephew and co host, Tony, aka Little, a weekly podcast in search of living our best life. Don't forget to hit us up on social media on Instagram at Related Views. Hit the follow button. You can also find us on YouTube on the Related Views channel. And if you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and most importantly, tell a friend, spread the word. Tony, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I love the way you start every week. Tony, Tony, Tony. It's like the intro's over. Let's kick it.
I just throw it all on him. I've done my job. I
Yeah,
got us
yeah,
introduced, right? Now,
yeah.
now,
Give
now,
me
I'm,
something, Tone.
now I'm throwing the ball over to you. So don't drop it. Don't fumble it. Don't step out of bounds. Just take
I
it and
always
go.
catch it. I always make the play, Ken. Touchdown.
Hey,
I'm doing good.
before we start, I just want to throw out a huge thank you to Shannon Talbot. It was on last week. It was an awesome interview. And if you missed it, please go back and listen to it. You won't be disappointed. It was just a great interview.
Yeah, there's a lot of great material. I thought that was probably one of our best podcasts that we've done yet.
Yeah, yeah. And they get better. I think every
Right
week
now.
they get better. Yeah.
Yeah, some laughs, some cries, some good times all around.
And even today, we started, after I hit the record button, then we start laughing, right? There's something gets said, and now we're just coming in with a laugh. So, yeah,
Like I live by that mile. Life's about laughing.
yeah.
I was joking with my buddy Spencer a couple weeks ago. I'm like, imagine you die and you go to heaven, or like, up to God, whatever you believe in. And he's like, all right, let's count up your laughs. You're like, really? That's how I get in?
I'm the head of the line, kid.
Move on over.
For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you see this nice new mic I have. It's the Joe Rogan mic here. My good friend Rob at Sports Card Therapist, he uses this mic, and I did an interview with him on my other podcast, Sports Card _ Lessons, and I could hear the difference. Like when we're talking, that he's got this mic and the mic I was using, that he just sounded so much better. And I'm like, oh, I really have to upgrade that mic. And he goes, I know where there's one slightly used, exactly like the one I have, if you're interested. And he made it happen, made a deal. I went and picked it up. I got this whole thing set up. So, I mean, after I set it up, as funny as it sounds, all I wanted to do was just start singing into it. I just felt like I should be singing into something. But yeah, this is great, and I hope it sounds better. I hope
Get yourself some auto tune. Do
yeah.
you believe in life after love?
I hope it sounds. I mean, after we're done and we put this out there, I hope it sounds as good as it looks over here. So I don't know if anything's gonna make me sound better, but if it is, this is the thing. So weekly positives, Tony. What do you got this week? What'd you do this weekend?
I did a whole bunch this weekend. I've done so much in the past 5 days. I just keep living my best life. I actually went down to the city, visited a couple old friends I haven't seen since pre-COVID. Had a great time, a blast. I have a ton of. I met so many bartenders and bouncers. Some of them gave me their number. Like, you call me when you come back here.
I,
But
I
I
get-
think I make friends everywhere I go. It's just like my personality. When I get in that mode, it's people love me.
yeah, it sounds like it was a good time.
It was
You know?
great. I really, really enjoyed that. And connecting with a lot of old friends lately, who I feel I've been so busy for months. I finally got a little downtime now that, my part-time job is over, that the reconnection has really been awesome.
Yeah. You ever notice that you kind of get into a slump, or maybe I shouldn't even call it a slump, but you get into a groove. Let's call it a groove,
Mhm.
and you're moving along, and you're like, man, I miss doing this, and that. And then you go out and you have a weekend like that, and it's just like, oh my God, this is what I've been missing. Like, this was so much fun. And then even after it's over, all you can think of in your mind is how to recreate that whole weekend again, right?
Oh yeah.
You're never going to be able to do it. It's never going to be as good as it was, but in your mind, you're like, I need more of that, you know?
But
I
that's even as we bring up what we talked about last week with Shannon. You have to live in the moment in those times, you know, and like
yeah.
that. Like I feel like when you have those thoughts afterwards, you were so in the moment because you weren't focused on this, on that. Like you were having such a good time that is what fuels your soul. As I keep talking about those things.
Yeah.
And again, you can recreate similarly, you know, but you're right. It's never going to be
Yeah.
that weekend.
I spent most of my life thinking in my mind when I was in the moment, how could I make this moment better? And the next time I do this, or next year when I come back here, or next week, or when we do this again, this is how it's going to be made better. And I realized it was a lot of wasted thought that I should have just been in the moment and just
Yeah.
let the moment happen and not to overthink it. And now in my life, I do that. When I'm in a moment, I'm in a moment. I am not overthinking it. I am not looking forward. I'm just enjoying it, because at my age, you realize as good as it is right now, it's never going to be that good again. Something else could be that good, but this
Yeah.
situation is never going to be that good, because a lot of it has to do with like first time experiences. These were bars you've never been to. These were bartenders you've never met. And you could never, it's like our life. You could never go back and recreate that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can never, have everything line all back up to make the same thing
And
happen again.
it's not supposed to. Like it was supposed to this weekend. There were so many, I don't know, answers that clicked to my head that have been lingering, you know, and so many like I keep talking. Something I love to keep talking about is the synchronicities of the universe. I feel like everywhere I go now, I'm so open to it. I find them and I'm like, wow, like amazing. Thank you. You know, so like I don't know, I learned what I was supposed to learn and from that experience, now it's time to go on to the next good experience, then the next one. And
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we live for, right? I mean, this is what we look forward to. These are the best parts of our lives, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
I even feel
Imagine if you could make that happen at work while imagine if you could make money doing that. Like
so
living
it,
living that.
it's funny you say that. I feel like I have been. I feel like I've really, even my work has been, and I got it's one of my weekly positives. I'll bring up in a second here, but um, I'll jump in right now.
Yeah, yeah, jump in.
Um, so I work for the Y. I think I've mentioned that everyone, you know, as a director, we partnered with a bunch of with this program. It's called the Leap program, where we got a bunch of kids that have whatever. Some of them don't even have issues, but some of them have school issues. Some of them have like transportation, home issues, grade issues, you know, issues due to COVID. The whole thing was because of COVID, because so many kids are testing 2 years back, like when COVID tests, they learned, they're saying they learned nothing in these 2 years when they tried to do all the virtual. And so we're doing Big Brother, Big Sister just to try and like see what we can do to get them back on course. So I got a group of 5 kids. I really connected with one. The rest of them kind of just fell off. So I texted my boss. I'm like, listen, give me a new group because I'm only doing one now. So he gave me more kids. I called one yesterday. I'm like, hey, you know, did my whole spiel. I'm from the Y. Name's Tony. Blah blah blah. You know, explain the whole Leap program. And she's like, I can't believe you're calling me right now. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, my son has been texting he's in third grade, he has autism. He's been texting the Y numbers because I know it's a call number, but I'm just letting them text, like begging for a membership because they're in a rough position where they can't, you know,
Yeah.
do anything right now. I don't want to get into her information, her details, but they're just in a tough position. I'm like, fight, like I can give you a membership. Like part of this whole thing is like we can and we can hook you up with this. And they're just ecstatic. And you know, and I called my mom and I was like, dude, like what are the chances, you know, the connection? She's like, can you call me back in an hour? My son's here and tell him he will be so happy. She's like, he literally texted the number this morning. I'm like, well, his prayers have been answered.
Yeah. Nice.
Um,
Yeah.
so it does happen. Like even that, like that tells me I'm on the right path and you
Yeah.
know, I'm doing the work. And
There's probably nothing more exciting than dialing out that number, being able to knowing in your mind that you're going to offer somebody a free like somebody that may be in a position that can't afford it but really wants it. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, there's got to be like somewhere in that. I mean, I would just be so excited. I like uh, jumping out of my own skin, being able to call
I'm
somebody
more excited
to,
than they are.
to give them the good news. Yeah, yeah,
But
definitely,
even
definitely.
3 weeks ago, one of the families, like the child was um having a hard time in school, and I was able to hook him up with a couple free tutoring classes that we offer at the Y. And the Y offers so much. It's cool. Like I have all these things where I am in a position to help people, which is I don't know. It's really been awesome. It's really and I'm starting to find out that's what I like to do with life. I've had
Yeah.
I guess my third weekly positive in the past week. I've had 4 different friends call me up, be like, "Hey, can I come over? I got to talk to you about something." They come over, we have like therapy sessions, like, and that's what made me realize I got to go back to school for psychology for therapy.
Yeah,
Like I'm really good at it.
there
In
you
the
go.
past month, I've had 9 or 10 people tell me you should be a therapist. I'm like, I know.
Yeah. I think and you talk about the universe and all that. I just think we eventually we find our place. We know what we're good at, and we know if it's helping other people, anything, like even outside of a job, right? Even outside of being like a therapist or a
Mhm.
psychiatrist or uh, those people just in general just want to help people, like
Yeah,
it. And we've talked about this in previous podcasts, is like, who knew helping somebody else would make you feel better, right? So they kind of
the
got the
story of
life,
the balloons. Yeah.
they figured out the life hack early,
Mhm.
right? Because there's a lot of people that refuse to help anybody but themselves. And I often say to myself, if they really don't know what they're missing, and they're missing out a whole other side of themselves that exists that they don't know exists, right? Because there are people out there that will not help anyone but themselves. And
It's such a lonely, miserable life.
yeah,
It's
and I'm
I
sad. I feel sad for them because I feel like they're, I feel I think a lot of times we'll feel sad for ourselves, like especially you're younger, like I'm older, um, and I'm sad for myself sometimes when I realize something later in life that I say, Jesus, I could have been doing this at my whole life. I'm so sad that I didn't figure this out till I was 40 or 50 or
But
whatever.
what if you didn't figure it out until you were 60? Like at
Yeah,
least now look at it the other way. This is my mindset. Like, thank God you figured it now instead of later.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
so
yeah,
is your cup half full or half empty is what that
yeah.
comes down to.
Yeah, and
What
it's
do
just
you
about being happy too. I think
yeah.
sometimes just about being happy, just liking who you are, liking where you are, liking the people around you, just being happy with all that. And you know, it's
I
just
agree.
part of, like we talked about at the beginning, just part of living our best, figuring out we're in search of our best lives, right? Just
Yeah.
figuring out what makes us happy and how we can,
It
help others along the way.
it takes a lot of work, but like I keep bringing up that story of the balloons. That's where you start. That's the start,
Mm, yeah,
stop focusing on like you and start helping. I think you got to put yourself in a position to be able to. You got to do your self care and take care of. But I mean, if you're always on, there's somebody I know pretty recently, and I feel like that person always focuses on themselves, and they're you could see they're so unhappy, and I'm like it's so obvious to me, like your ways of being are not helping you be happy. Like you got to make a change.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a hard weekly positive. I'm usually you're following my great weekly positive, but that was just
Yeah.
a great weekly positive
Mine's
this
usually
week,
like I found a ladybug.
and I saved it. Yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Hey, you didn't save it.
it was already dead. I promise.
I just found it. Yeah. What do you
Uh,
got?
yeah, I had a long weekend this weekend. I had a show down at Hofstra University in Long Island, and I'll give you a little negative before I hit the positive. So Friday night, I'm all packed up. I'm ready to go. I got the car packed. And it's the first time I'm doing it overnight. So I'm actually staying in a hotel because it's a 2 day show. It's the first time for me to do a 2 day show. Um, and day one, I'm with my partner Rob, and two, I'm on my own. I'm solo, so I'm staying overnight solo in the hotel. So I get all the stuff packed, and I get my itinerary out for the hotel, and something catches. It was like 10:30 at night on a Friday night, and something catches my eye. It says April 10th, and I'm like, oh, that must have been the day I made the reservation. So then I look at it again, and it says staying one night on April 10th. I'm like, this can't be right. I said, I booked hundreds of hotel rooms. I know how to book a hotel room. I know how to go on the calendar, but you had gone through the show website and you chose the hotel, and then when you got there, you said, what day, and I put in for a Saturday night, and when you clicked the discount and it brought you to the next page, it reverted back to the day, but I never noticed that. And I didn't figure this out till after, because I really wanted to know what went wrong. Did I really just mess this up, or
you like can't, if you didn't mess it up, you can't believe it. You're like, I know I didn't. I got to figure out what happened. I have to prove that I'm not an idiot.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. And I went back and I proved it was the way the website was set up. But getting back to the point, it's 10:30 on a Friday night.
Right there.
It's 10:30 on a Friday night, and now I call the 1-800 number. I'm like, okay, look, and I checked my credit card too. So not only on April 10th did they charge me for the room, but they also charged me a no-show fee of $75. So I was like, so I called the 800 number.
Which can I stop you right there? Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
A no-show fee. So they have to do less work. They don't even have to clean the room.
They don't have to make the bed, nothing. And they charge me extra for not showing up.
And you still paid for the room. It's not like,
well, I guess that's what that's based on. Is if I stay in the hotel room, that I'll probably get a meal in the restaurant, or something that I would have spent. I mean, I don't know. It was so ridiculous at this point. I called the 800 number, and they said, no, there's nothing we can do. The date's already passed. Yeah, you should call the front desk. They'll be able to help you. So they give me the number to the hotel. I call the front desk. I said, hey, there was a mistake made, and blah, blah, blah. It's 10:30 on a Friday night. I mean, the qualifications of the people that are answering the phone, they're not qualified to like give me a refund. And I understand that. But at this point, I need a hotel room. Right. And they're like, yeah, no, I can't help you out. And I'm like, well, do you have any rooms for tomorrow night? He's like, yeah, I do. It's, we put you in our best room for $399. And I'm like, I don't need your best room. That's the only room we have left. All right. So now I have to get on to like Expedia or whatever and start searching for a room. I found the room that was, close by and much more reasonably priced. So I booked that, and of course I just called the credit card company. I'm like, hey, something got messed up here. I never stayed in the hotel. They charged me for it. And so they're like, okay, I will take care of it for you. No problem. So that's kind of a little positive so far right now. I haven't heard back, but they said, don't, Mr. Cairns, don't worry about it. You're such a great customer. We're going to make this right. My credit card company, not the hotel.
Yeah.
So,
my credit card company, like, no chance, bud.
So I went from a negative to a positive. Like I literally I could have been really upset and really lost and really had it ruined, but I just figured out a way to get through it. The show was great. There's definitely a positive. I was extremely exhausted. Coming home Sunday at 5:00 and stuck in traffic. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm doing these 2-day shows anymore. I think just one day is all this old body can handle at this point. There
was a lot of traffic coming home Sunday too.
Yeah.
It was so bad. As I was leaving, I was telling all my friends, like, I'm going to start coming down every weekend. This is awesome. 2.5 hours later, I'm like, no chance.
My other weekly positive is I finally joined a little golf league that started at Sleeping Giant. We had talked about this because we played there last week.
We went and played last week,
yeah, which really helped, by the way. I knowing the course a little better.
Yeah. I gotta say too, I don't think I've ever played that well. First game of the year.
Even your last game of the year was not that good.
No.
I actually came in out of 20. There's 20 people. There's 10 groups of 2, and I actually came in 4th of the 20 people. So yeah, so I played well. I mean, I played great. I played well, and it was fun. Every person that was there he met was all, really nice, really happy to be there. Nobody was a pro. right? There was nobody that was like showing up that's supposed to be on the PGA tour or anything like that. So it was good. It was just, yeah, it was just fun. I'm
Just
so happy I joined up, and I hope it lasts, all year.
just the one guy that when we were playing, remember him? All decked out in all the gear.
Oh yeah. But you always find people like that, and then they can't hit the ball.
No.
They got
And then they
$8,000 set of clubs. They
yeah,
got a
and then they
thousand
get all
dollar outfit.
frustrated.
He
That's
looked
not
great.
I should be able to do this.
He looked great. I mean,
Oh,
literally,
yeah.
if I was gonna open up a golf magazine, he would have been the person in those clubs and everything I saw.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah. So something I was just gonna bring up this week. So Sherry, who has taken courses in Reiki, recently took an advanced course in Reiki, and you ask, what is Reiki? I just
Oh,
happen
Ken, what is Reiki? I'm a little unclear on that.
I just happen to have the definition right here. Reiki is a healing technique based on the principle that the therapist can channel energy into the patient by means of touch to activate the natural healing process of the patient's body and restore physical and emotional well-being. So these last few episodes, like all these things we've been talking about, um, even with our guests, with healing yourself,
And
with your
wellness and, yeah, and our
yeah,
best lives and
with
happiness
your
within,
mind and things like that.
doing the work, yep.
So she had this thing, and I mean, I'm not going to call it it's the principles of Reiki. It was almost, I thought it was like the Reiki prayer, right? But it's the principles of Reiki. And Sherry had this sheet out, and I was reading it, and I'm like, oh, this would be great to share on the podcast. Um, so it's called the Just for Today, the principles of Reiki. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will be calm. Just for today, I will be grateful. Just for today, I will do my work diligently. And just for today, I will be kind to every living thing. Um, and I just thought that was really cool. Just really like things that we're talking about on here, just being kind to other people and other things, and just being grateful and trying to help people and helping people and
Mhm.
feeling better and things like that. I just thought it was something that I just wanted to share on here.
I think that's great. I think even that whole just for today, the mental process of that, of not taking on too much. But if you just for today, and then just for today tomorrow, and then just for today the next day, then it becomes your discipline.
Yeah.
They say if you're having a hard time with something, just tell yourself, okay, I'm just going to get through today. And if that's too much, I'm just going to get through the next hour. If that's too much, I'm just going to get through the next 5 minutes. That's
Yeah.
too much. They say go down to like, I'm just going to get through for the next 30 seconds. And if you
Yeah.
can keep getting through the next 30 seconds, it becomes the minute, 5 minutes, half hour, day, life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, I mean, uh, you always see the bumper stickers and things for the 12 step that say, one day at a time,
Mm,
right? Just one day at a time. And I've never been in that situation, but I would have to imagine it's got to be tough. Um,
the toughest.
on the opposite side of it, just to trying to get through, sometimes just trying to get through something.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all struggle with something, right? And I, my own struggles, I'm happy to have what I have because they're very manageable. But I know there's people that struggle with things that are sometimes unmanageable, and I
Just
think,
overbearing. Yeah.
yeah, and I think things like this, these principles and prayers and things like that, you gotta hope they help. I mean, you always say, I never know what you're feeling until I walk a mile in your shoes, right? If I've never been there, I have no idea. So,
Which
um,
has also been a big thing of what I've been realizing, lately is you only to kind of to go with that, you don't realize what you're doing to other people until it happens to you too. I think you need to try and be aware of even someone that's in a tough position. Like you might not be able to comprehend, but just because you can't comprehend doesn't mean that it's any less to them.
yeah.
You know, I think it's doing your best to be aware in like an impossible situation because you can't know. There's a Zen saying you don't know until you know.
Yeah. when I worked in the prison, we used to do a training every year, and every year at training, we used to watch the same movie. Yeah, I watched the same movie for 28 years, right? And it was called The Glasses, right? And it was this one person found this pair of glasses on the street or whatever and picked up the glasses, and they put them on, and they saw what other people had gone through before they saw them there, right? So it kind of rewinded back and forward.
Wow.
So like he starts out backing out of his driveway, and there's a kid going on a skateboard going on the sidewalk, and he almost hits him. He gets out and starts yelling at the kid on the skateboard. But then when he puts the glasses on, he realizes that the kid's parents were fighting at home, and that's why he left. Right. And then he goes to the coffee shop, and, somebody comes in and cuts right in front of him, and he like gets all upset, like, oh, how could you, and then they rewind it back, and he puts the glasses on, and they realize that this person, it was like their first day at the job, and something was going on, and but
Didn't
it
go
was
well. Yeah, whatever.
yeah, so it just allowed them, long story short, just allowed them to see, for what you're looking at is not what this person's life is and what this person has gone through or just has recently gone through. So how we see people on the outside, what we see is a lot different than what they're, and
That short snippet of
yeah,
them in action. Yeah.
yeah. And it just talks about, just being kind to everybody, just being nice to everybody. And of course, being in the prison, you can imagine what these guys are going through in their cells, right? So I think a lot of it was just trying to tell, the officers, have a little compassion. Like, these guys are going through a lot in prison. Just don't be a jerk to them all the time,
Yeah.
type of thing, So, and yeah, it got the point across. It got the point across, and I used to see it every year. And I knew the movie by heart. I could have mouthed all the words to it, type of thing. But it wasn't probably until, a few years into the watching it that I really, really got it. Where you really understand it. And I think it's like anything else. When you're ready to accept something, then it easily comes in. You
Yeah.
easily,
Well, it goes back to what we talked about weeks ago. Ill-timed motivation is worse than no motivation at all. You can't accept something until you're ready to accept it.
yeah, yeah. Which brings me to our life lesson today. And this is real simple. I mean, literally, this is very simple. Is find things in your life that bring you joy and comfort and allow you to be fully in the moment. And goes right back to your positive, where you went. It's no secret you've been going through some things over the last few weeks, and now you go get out and you just have this unbelievable weekend, right? You allowed yourself to be completely in the moment.
Yeah.
And I think that is just a great life lesson. See, now you talked about this at the beginning, and I had this life lesson planned out before we started, but it's the same exact thing, right?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of becoming our theme of this. I almost feel like we're moving a little away from the generational here, kind of more into to happiness, which is cool. I love how we're transforming. Maybe we got to change our name. I don't know, but
who knows? But this is definitely just taking a life of its own right now, and I'm excited. I'm excited the direction it's going in.
I right back to your life lesson. I feel like when we do this, I feel in the moment. I do. This is one of my things that,
Yeah.
And it's progressing. It's evolving. And I don't know. It's almost like my therapy session every week.
It's interesting. At the beginning, I mean, we overthought this. I literally, booklets and sheets of paper. I would be handwriting all this stuff out when we started, like all these notes. I'd have 3, 4, 5 pages of notes that I highlighted and marked and this and that, and literally just overthought so much of it. And these last few weeks were just like, okay, let's just get on. And when we started this, right, when we talked about this was Tuesday morning golf, right? These were just conversations. We didn't show up at notebooks and notes and like, okay, this is what I'm going to ask him. I mean, these were just great conversations we were having while we were golfing, right? And then we said we wanted to bring it to the podcast. But then as a podcast, I think we overthought it too much. I mean, we
overhandled it. Yeah, we overhandled it. But like even when we have guests for their first time, like, There are so many things I wrote down I forgot to say, you know. And it's like, I think when you try to overdo it, you forget so much because you're trying to, you know. I'll give you an example. So I'm being a camp I'm a camp director for the Y this summer. We had to do this little video of, you know, like my co-person I'm doing with her name, introduction, all the info. And the first time I did it, I was first shot I did it, and she's like, "You forgot to say the phone number at the end." I'm like, "Okay." So I thought about it again. Another 10 takes, I kept messing it up. Got it for, you know, I overhandled it after that.
Yeah.
Um,
Just
you're
overthought
right.
it, and we do that in our life. I think we do that with everything in our life, but now I think we're starting to find our groove. We're starting to
Our,
find our lane a little bit.
I dare say our authentic selves on here.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, we started with some laughs today.
yeah. Yes, we did.
I don't know. Our a mild version of our authentic selves. If we started filming 5 minutes earlier.
Those are the things I was like, Tony, no, 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 don't.
This is rated for all ages. You can't say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
That is
Yep.
frowned upon.
Yeah. And I do zero editing, so
I know.
we would have to go back and start all over again from the beginning.
I like that too. I like the authentic
Yeah,
full video. I
yeah.
remember it was like our second or third one. There was like a ah ah. You're like, all right, let me jump in then.
Yeah, let me take that. Let me save you. I'll throw you the life preserver. Yeah.
All right, restart.
All right. Anything else before I close it up?
No, that was a great week.
Yeah.
We'll try to find a guest for next week. You know,
Yeah.
stay on the same.
Now that I pulled up the Reiki, I know Sherry will never come on. So I know a few other people that do Reiki. I may just reach out to them this week and see if they'd be interested in coming on and just talking to us about Reiki.
I wonder if our psychic would ever come on.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You do your 50%. You can reach out.
Fine. I don't know.
Maybe.
All
right.
We'll find out. I'll reach out to her.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. We'll start reaching out. I don't know. I think we could still keep the related views part. I don't think we'd have to change that. I mean, we're still related.
And we have views. Like 17 of them.
They're just different than what we started, but they're still views.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we're getting some views.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, let's shut this down this weekend.
All right. And you notice I didn't mess you up with the Friday. Like, I'm just going to say to everybody now, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Isn't it Wednesday?
Have a great weekend, everybody. I want to thank everyone for listening. And if you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, hit the follow button. And most importantly, tell a friend, spread the word. And until next week, be good to yourselves and everyone around you. Tony, we will see you next week.
Talk with you, Ken.
Take care.
You too.